Okay, so this next video is subsequently, now that you have learned expansion, okay, how do we use the expanded form, okay, to find coefficient of a particular term. Okay, so in this method, we call it terms with. Okay, what do I mean by this? For example, okay, let's say I've already expanded, okay, a binomial expansion, and then this is the bracket that I get. Okay, 1 plus 14x plus 84x squared plus 280x cubed plus dot dot. The next part, okay, so if I ask you to find the coefficient of x cubed, what you do first is, okay, we find the terms with x cubed first. Meaning to say, when I expand the terms in these two brackets, okay, what are the terms that I multiply one another to get x cubed? For example, the 1 here, okay, definitely in the second bracket, I need to multiply by an x cubed term, which is why I multiply by the 280x cubed here. Okay, and then the next term here, 2x. Okay, to get x cubed, I need to multiply by x squared term. So you multiply by the x squared term here. Okay, then x squared term, of course, you just multiply it by a x term. Okay, so after you have seen or you are able to compare what to multiply against, okay, in the statement below, you write terms with x cubed equals to, okay, 1 times 280x cubed plus 2x times 84x squared plus 3x squared times 14x. Okay, and then you just key in the calculator, and to simplify, you will get 490x cubed. Okay, then from here, after you have determined the terms with x cubed, or basically the x cubed term, okay, just write the next statement where coefficient x cubed equals to 490. That's all there is to it. Okay, so very quickly, okay, let's look at the example below. Okay, the first part, you're asked to expand and simplify up to the first three terms, okay, for this binomial expansion here. Okay, so let's expand that. Okay, you'll start by writing 2 minus x over 4 to the power of 10 equals to, okay, in this case your a is 2, your b is the negative x over 4. Alright, okay, so I start by 2 to the power of 10. Okay, then if you all recall in the previous video I mentioned, okay, if in the term, the sign here is a negative, it's always positive, negative, positive, negative. So my second term will be minus. Okay, then choose 1 to the power of 9. And then since I already accounted for the negative here, okay, this will just be, I'll just put x over 4 here. Okay, because I've already counted for the negative here. This will be power 1. Okay, then plus, okay, because positive, negative, positive. Then choose 2 to the power of 8, okay, x over 4 squared plus dot dot, because I only want the first three terms. Expand and simplify this is what you all should get. Okay, so this one nothing new, just using a binomial expansion. The next part where they say, hence, find the coefficient of x squared in the expansion of these two. Okay, so this is what I want you all to always do when you all are doing such questions. Okay, write out the original form first, which they ask you to expand. Okay, and then what you all will do is, okay, in this case, because I cannot use this directly, there is a square bracket. Okay, use your algebraic identities. Okay, this is the same thing as your a plus b squared. So a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Alright, okay, so I'll get 9 plus 12x plus 16x squared. Sorry, 24x. Bracket. Okay, then for the binomial expansion, just write back what you expanded in the earlier part. So I'll rewrite this entire thing again. Okay, don't forget the plus dot at the back. Okay, so now that you have written it out loud like that, okay, why I asked you to write it like that is because once you have this expanded form on both sides in the brackets, it is very easy to compare the terms that you want. So since you want the coefficient of x squared, what you're looking for is terms with x squared. Okay, so multiply the terms accordingly. So 9 obviously needs to multiply by x squared term, right? So 9 times 720 x squared. Okay, so in your working, please don't draw this arrow. Okay, this one we draw in the notes is to show you how it works. Okay, so your 9, you multiply it. Okay, so instead of drawing arrow, I'll highlight it for you to see. 9 multiplied by the x squared term here. Okay, then I have 24x, I need to multiply by x term, right? Multiply by this term here. Then of course the 16x squared term, you multiply by the constant here. Okay, so when you write everything down, this is what you all should get. Okay, 24x times minus 184 minus 10x plus 16x squared times 1024. Okay, key this in the calculator and simplify, you should get minus 7856x squared. Okay, then just end off by writing, since you're asked to find coefficient of x squared equals to negative 7856. Okay, that's all there is to it. So the key step, okay, that I always want you all to be writing is this step over here. Always write out the expanded form for both brackets first, and then from there you all can compare the both brackets to see what to multiply against one another. Okay, so this is the very basic standard type of question you all will see, okay, in your exams or even in your tutorials subsequently. Okay, the next part over here again is a further application. Okay, finding the coefficient after expanding two binomial expansions. Okay, so for example, if you're asked to expand these two binomial expansions, okay, up to the first three terms, okay, the expanded form, okay, I'm not going to go through your expand because by now you should be familiar. Okay, this is the simplified expanded form. Then the next part, okay, hence, okay, when they say hence means definitely you all need to use your previous part. So what you all need to be able to link is, okay, 1 plus 2x times 2 minus 3x will actually give you 2 plus x minus 6x squared. Okay, this is what you all need to be able to form. Okay, or link in your head. So if you all can understand this, when I have this form here, okay, it is the same thing as writing this. Okay, where the power 6 is a big bracket outside. In indices, you all learn, okay, the power of the 6 outside will apply to both brackets inside, which is why I have this form over here, where the power 6 applies to both terms. And then now is when you can apply the expanded binomial form that you had earlier above. Okay, then again, now you all realize you have a very similar form where it's two brackets with the expanded form. Okay, but of course, in the notes, what I add for me is, okay, there should be plus dot at the back here. Okay, so terms with x squared, again, just compare the terms that you all need to multiply to get your x squared terms. Okay, so 1 should be multiplying by your other x squared term, right, which is the 2160. Okay, so 1 times 2160 x squared plus 12x times negative 576x plus 60x squared times 64. Okay, then simplify this, you should get negative 912x squared. So just end off by writing, therefore coefficient of x squared equals to negative 912, that's all. Okay, then the third type of question. Okay, so far in binomial expansion, you all have been learning where I work with two terms, okay, which is the a plus b power n, right? Two terms inside. What if I have three terms here? Okay, something like this here. Okay, so what you do here is, okay, you will let p equals to 2x plus 2x squared first. Okay, this is what you do first. So if I let p be this form here, okay, so I will first find bracket 1 plus p bracket power 6 first, and then you get this form here. Subsequently, okay, when I have this form here, then I replace the p, okay, all the p terms here, back with the original substitution. Okay, so when you sub back p, shouldn't be an issue. Now the problem is when I sub in a p square and a p cube. Okay, this is where it gets complicated. So what do you have to do for this kind of scenarios is, okay, so over here, if you all have you all can see below here, okay, I left it blank for you all. Okay, so again, this one you just apply your identities that you all learned in Sec 2. Okay, your bracket a plus b squared. So this will give you 4x squared plus 8x cubed plus 4x power 4. Alright, okay, then as habit, okay, let's rearrange it. So always put the x power 4, the highest power term in front. Okay, so this is how I'll write it. Okay, essentially it's the same thing. I just want you to have the habit of putting the highest power in front first. Okay, what about this term here? Okay, the cube term. Okay, so the cube term, I'll just rewrite the square term. Okay, but, okay, rewrite another 2x squared plus 2x. Okay, so over here, if you all realize, I only want you to find the terms with x squared. Okay, if I ask you to find the terms with x squared, the highest power term I need is x squared. Same thing, if I ask you to find terms with x cubed, the highest power term you need is x cubed. So, okay, let's work under the assumption that I'm working with up to the x cubed term first. I want you to find the coefficient of x cubed. So, if that is the case, in these two brackets here, okay, in these two brackets here, when I want to use the terms in the square and the cube bracket, I should only be expanding up to the x cubed term. Okay, I should only be expanding up to the x cubed term. So, right, you put a star here at the back. Okay, only need to expand up to x cubed term. So, for example, the square bracket here, if you all realize, okay, I have up to x power 4. Okay, however, because I only need up to the x cubed term, when I write the bracket, I only write the square and the cube term. Similarly, for the excuse me, the cube bracket over here, because I only need the x cubed term. So now if you look across these two brackets, definitely x power 4 term is too high. I don't need to get this. X cubed term, if I want an x cubed term in the final product, I must multiply by a constant in the bracket here, which I don't have. So I don't need to do an x cubed. But if I do an x squared here, if I multiply by 2x, I can get x cubed. If I multiply by x squared, I get x power 4, which is too high. I don't want that. So essentially in this expansion, the only expanded product that I want, it is the 4x squared times 2x, which gives me x cubed. The remaining terms behind, I'm not interested. Okay, that is how you get the bracket here. Okay, so for this one, it's slightly more complicated. Okay, because you need to be clear on what is the x power term that you require. Okay, then from there, depending on what is the x power term that you need, okay, you multiply accordingly to see what is the terms with x squared or terms with x cubed. Okay, so for this example here, if you need to pause the video, take some time to digest the information. Okay, the very last part, okay, is where I substitute value of x. So this one is where they ask you to estimate, okay, or to find the value of a certain number itself. So for example, okay, the first part they might ask you, using binomial expansion or expand this in increasing or ascending power of x. Okay, then I expand maybe the first three terms, okay, like what the question asked for. Then they'll ask you, hence, find this term here. So what you all need to see is, okay, essentially I'm equating the 1 plus 2x here to the 1.24 here, because both of them have the same power of 6. Okay, so that's why in the notes they write, let 1 plus 2x equals to 1.24. You solve for x, okay, then basically just plug in this value of x into the binomial expansion earlier and get an estimated value. That's all there is to this part. Okay, so in this video, what you all learn is how you all use the expanded form, okay, to find the terms of the coefficients that you are interested in.